So I knew that we had the resources there to make a difference.
I actually thought it was a scam.
Oh no!
I read the email and I was convinced. I was like, no, Darren, it can't be real. There's no way Schnucks wants to partner with us. We're such a small business.
Wow, thank goodness you didn't just delete it. Angie, do you think maybe other people may have come to that conclusion that you're a fraudster?
They might have. That's the first I've heard that story.
A new program at Schnucks has been a lifeline to restaurants in what feels like their darkest hour, and it's also led to some new friendships, too. I'm Sarah Fensky. This is St. Louis on the Air. And joining us today to talk about the program's origins and its highlights is Andy DeCou of Schnucks. So, Andy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Sarah.
So, Andy, you have what's basically the best job in the whole world. You manage Schnucks' specialty cheese program. I'm so jealous. How did that work lead to your desire to help local restaurants?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I do have the best job in the world. Get to work with some of the best people. Back when the pandemic really got started, back in March, I was just kind of flipping through Facebook on a weekend and saw some of my local cheesemakers out there on like Facebook Lives talking to the customer, trying to bring them into their shops, and it looked like a couple of them had just some like panic on their face, like, man. And so I picked up the phone and called a couple of them just to see what's going on, anything we can do to help. Mm-hmm. I really didn't understand the scope of the problem. Was told by Tulip Tree Creamery is one of our cheese producers up in Indiana, and they lost over 80% of their business overnight once the restaurants closed.
And that it seems kind of crazy because, of course, we all eat cheese, but they were used to selling it directly to the restaurants, not necessarily to the consumer. Is that the problem there?
True, right. They have two lines of business. One for the consumers that you guys will pick up at the grocery store or your local cheese counter, but then they've got a food service business, which for most of them was the lion's share of their sales.
Okay, so they were really, restaurants were closing down. They no longer had that outlet. When did you realize that Schnucks might be able to help them with that problem?
Almost immediately. So I knew that we had the resources there to make a difference. And so what we did is immediately just started setting up promotions and working with them on making special buys. Mm. And within a week we had a whole plan put together to help kind of do our part to keep their businesses afloat as best we can to help them. So it was really we can't do a whole lot, and there was, especially in that time when we felt so helpless about being involved in the pandemic, and there's really nothing we could do. It felt like we could finally, there was something we could do to kind of help out our community, and that's really what we're here to do at Schnucks, is just to nourish the lives of our local community.
So this local grab and go program, you're featuring ready to eat options from restaurants around town. What led you to decide to focus on Black-owned restaurants in particular?
Well, so just a little bit of history on how we got into the restaurants altogether. We did have some partnerships, and when we learned that, okay, if the cheese shops lost, or these cheesemakers lost 80% of their business because restaurants closed, then we've got restaurants that are closed that need our help too. So we started reaching out to some local restaurants like Nudo House and Revel Kitchen, and so got those up and going and kind of worked through the initial phases of it. Mm-hmm. And then about in May when the protests started, and there was we heard from. Feast magazine published an article about Black-owned restaurants in the St. Louis area. So I believe there were 71 in that article. We either called or emailed or hit up their Facebook sites on just about every one of them to reach out to them to see if there was an opportunity for them to that they'd be willing to take up an opportunity to get in our stores. We had just an overwhelming response from those restaurants. It's been pretty cool to forge not only a business relationship, but I really feel like we've got some friendships too, that we're in this together and helping each other out.
So one of the business owners who's now involved in this partnership is Kathy Jenkins. She's the owner of Kathy's Kitchen in Ferguson, and she told us that when Schnucks reached out to her, she already sold her hot sauces within her own restaurant. Now 10 Schnucks locations sell Kathy Jenkins' sweet and spicy hot sauce, as well as a jerk wing sauce.
It's sweet, it's spicy, honey mixed in there. It coats whatever you use it for. It says wing sauce, but you can use it on fish. You can use it on anything. I even use it in stir fry. So it is a great sauce, a lot of flavor. It awakens to me any herb and spice that you had in a dish. It just, it makes it alive. The sweet and spicy is the number one sauce that we sell in the restaurant. It is always number one. Jerk happens to be my favorite. I love the Caribbean spices. So if you've ever been to Jamaica and that flavor of getting that jerk chicken, I've combined the two. I combined the sauce, the sweet and spicy sauce with the jerk seasoning. So you kind of get to marry the two together.
And Kathy Jenkins, again, of Kathy's Kitchen in Ferguson, she says that the financial impact of her partnership with Schnucks is small right now, but that she knows these things take time. And she says it's been a challenge to prepare these sauces for bottling while also running her own restaurant.
It has been trying to make all that sauce and, still run a restaurant, trying to just keep safe and healthy with COVID-19. So it's been a struggle, but we are so excited about it. We welcome it. So every day we're learning new things, how to get it out faster and buying new equipment. So we're excited. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that we use this opportunity to the fullest.
That's Kathy Jenkins of Kathy's Kitchen in Ferguson. You can now find her products at 10 different Schnucks. And we're here today talking with Andy DeCou of Schnucks, who helped set that program up. We're also joined now by two more restaurateurs who are selling their product through Schnucks. Darren Young is the co-owner of the Fattened Calf. That's a Filipino barbecue pop-up and catering company. So Darren, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the call.
And we're also joined today by his partner and co-owner, that's Charlene Lopez Young. She's the co-owner of the Fattened Calf. So Charlene, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So Charlene, when you heard from Schnucks, were you interested immediately in trying to sell your product there?
This is a funny story. I actually thought it was like a scam.
Oh, no.
I read the email and I was convinced. I was like, no, Darren, it can't be real. There's no way Schnucks wants to partner with us. We're such a small business. And we ended up looking up Andy online and deciding, like, okay, this is real. We should pursue this. Let's do this. Let's take this seriously.
Wow, so, thank goodness you didn't just delete it. Andy, do you think maybe other people may have come to that conclusion that you're a fraudster?
They might have. That's the first I've heard that story.
It was just disbelief that we are such a small business and we started out with such humble beginnings, and that now a major grocery store is pursuing us to be a part of their story. And that was just really, really cool and overwhelming for me. So I'm glad that we continued with the partnership and that we both ended up pursuing each other. But at first, I was really apprehensive.
And Darren, tell me this. I know that for a lot of smaller businesses like you guys are, this has been such a rough time. How has the pandemic affected your family's finances and affected your business?
Yeah, absolutely. We probably have about 60% loss of revenue. And we run a monthly pop-up dinner at different locations in the city, particularly at Earthbound on Cherokee Street. And we would sell out about 300 plates. And seeing that not happen anymore was just tragic for us.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, Charlene, losing 60% of your business, how do you even pay your bills at that point?
Well, right. we both still have our full-time jobs, or we had our full-time jobs. And so we would divide the pop-ups. Instead of just one pop-up, we ended up doing 3 to make up for it. And we're fortunate enough that our overhead costs are pretty low. We're at Earthbound Beer for our residency, and we use a commercial kitchen space, but we have staff per diem because we were a pop-up restaurant setting. So we don't have full-time staff outside of ourselves.
So that helps.
Yeah, that absolutely helped. But we are just so fortunate that the Schnucks partnership happened because we were able to scale in a way that was safe for us during COVID season or COVID time. It allowed us to gain access to a larger network of people who may not be familiar with Filipino foods, or who may be curious but didn't really exactly understand or know where to get Filipino barbecue. So we were able to tap into Schnucks network and really bring Filipino food in a mainstream level throughout St. Louis City.
That is really exciting. I think of the people who like going to pop-ups. These are really adventurous diners. They love to try new things. I imagine your average grocery store customer might not be quite as ready for anything. But Andy, it sounds like they've taken to the fattened calf. People are interested in trying these new grab-and-go products.
Yeah, they really have, and I think it's a lot of credit to them for what they're doing with social media and how they are getting that message out to help spread that word. So, we as a grocery store, we're always looking to bring in or to kind of emulate the restaurant experience, and this is just a way for us, let's bypass that and let's bring in the real thing, and our customers have really responded to that, and they love it, and we get emails constantly asking for when we're going to see the fattened calf in other stores or other items, and so the fun thing about it is we're constantly changing too, and so I know I was just looking at my emails, and Charlene, I think you got 5 more items going in the stores here coming up pretty soon. There's just, it's constantly moving, and the joy that these restaurants have for being part of this program, and the excitement that they share, it makes it a really fun part of my day to work with them and talk to them and be part of this.
Man, Andy, you do have the best job. First you start with specialty cheeses. Now you're able to get these cool restaurant offerings in front of people. I'm so jealous. But, as much as you guys make it sound like a blast, I imagine it's not quite as simple as just boxing up the meals you used to be able to serve people in person. Darren, was there a learning curve on getting a meal rather than being ready to serve to someone to getting it to be grocery store ready?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There's the packaging, the safe food handling, the cooking the meat, properly chilling the meat, putting it in the bowls, and then the delivery process, the drop-off process. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it can be very complex. But we are figuring out the system and learning a lot, and it's been an incredible opportunity for us, that's for sure.
Andy, did Schnucks have to do some work on that side of things to make sure that everybody that you were stocking, that they knew how to deal with this whole new line of product?
Yeah, that's probably one of the things that takes the longest to get a vendor from, hey, I'm interested in being part of this, to getting their product on the shelf is just getting them through and the process of understanding the food safety practices that we have in place, because ultimately our customer safety is paramount, and we'll never ever jeopardize that. So to work through, a lot of the restaurants are just used to coming from oven to table, to get it from oven to chill to package to in the car, then to Schnucks. All those steps, we need to make sure that we're very we have a very clear plan on how to handle that, and to make sure that what arrives for our customers, one is of the same quality that is there when they make it, and 2, absolutely safe for them. So working through some packaging and stuff, those are probably the food safety and packaging are the 2 biggest parts. But everybody's been really great about adapting to that, and what's really cool is it's kind of turned into a little community. So when we have new people come on and they have questions about labeling or packaging and stuff, we've got a group of restaurants that are already out there that we'll send them to, where they'll kind of give them advice, and they'll help them along the way. So it's everybody's lifting each other up and helping each other out, and it's there hasn't been a lot of cutthroat competition in this at all. It's everybody wants to see this expand in the local restaurants that we're working with, and it's been fun to watch that part of our little community that we've built here grow.
That's really exciting to hear. Charlene, has that helped you feel like you're not alone in the middle of trying to run a small business in the middle of such a scary time?
Oh, absolutely. Andy is like part of my speed dial now. So, if anything, we've also gained a lot of friendships through the process, like other restaurateurs that are in the same program. We know them by name now, and it's a great way that the community has started in this way.
And so all of this, it is a steep learning curve. There's a lot of challenges that go with this, and it's amazing because this is happening not just on top of the economy, leading to these problems and restaurants not being able to open. There's still this fear of spreading COVID-19, and people have to be really careful of who they're working with and in what ways. Kathy Jenkins is the owner of Kathy's Kitchen in Ferguson, and she explained what she's been dealing with there at her restaurant.
I've been through 2 riots, windows broken out in both. And I would have to say the most stressful would have to be the COVID-19. Just, trying to make sure everyone is healthy. And, you're taking temperatures. Someone comes through the door. You constantly, you thought you were washing hands before, but you're washing them until your skin is just totally dry now. I mean, it's difficult. You're almost running like a hospital just to cook.
And that's Kathy Jenkins of Kathy's Kitchen. Darren, has that been hard as you've been figuring out your plan? Expanding might mean bringing on more people. Well, then you have to worry about germs. Is there kind of a push-pull between your ambitions and the way COVID-19 just limits so many things these days?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely have to think smart, and most importantly, we have to be safe. The good news is we are a very small team, and we've done a lot more small-scale products. So as we look forward to growing, we're keeping all of that in consideration and definitely put in safety first.
Andy mentioned that you guys had recently emailed him with even more products you're going to be offering. I'd love to just hear a little bit about the kind of things that you're putting there onto the shelves of Schnucks at this point.
Yes. We are so excited to be expanding the menu. A couple things just to name would be a pork barbecue plate, which is St. Louis is famous for the pork steak, but we're going to take a pork steak and we're going to baste it and marinate it in our Filipino spices. We're going to char grill it over natural lump charcoal and then plate that with a side of garlic rice and a pickled salad. That's one of the options we're adding to the menu, as well as expanding our smoked sausage item. We have a sweet longanisa, which is a Filipino sausage, and now we're going to expand to the savory version of that, which is we call it our Filipino garlic sausage. It actually goes by the name of vegan sausage, VIGAN. It's not vegan by any means, but that's the name of it, and it's a very popular dish as well. We're excited to get that in the stores, certainly. So.
Well, Darren, you have sold our listeners. We're actually hearing from a number of them on Twitter. Candace wants to know, where can we find a listing of the line of to-go dinners and the stores that carry them? Andy, is there a convenient place where this is all listed with the specifics, or do people have to just go browse?
Yeah, you absolutely can go out to nourish.schnucks.com or just put in schnucks.com and then /local grab and go, and that'll give you a list of all of our the local restaurants that we have and what stores they're in. So you can look at that and kind of zone in and focus in on where you want to go to pick up your favorite local restaurants.
That's great. That's schnucks.com/local grab and go. We'll also make sure that we get that link on our website. That's stlpublicradio.org, because I know people are salivating. This all sounds so good. And man, it's exciting to hear some good news coming out of this. So Andy Decoux of Schnucks, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
And Darren Young, co-owner of the Fattened Calf, thank you for being here. And just one last question. Are those pop-up dinners still going on if people want to catch those in addition to the grab and go?
Yes, the pop-up dinners are still happening. Those are at Earthbound Beer on Cherokee Street. And the best way to stay on top of the next pop-up is to follow us on our social media, The Fattened Calf on Instagram or Facebook. We post weekly about where you can find us at a next pop-up event.
All right. Well, Darren, thank you for that. And also to Charlene Lopez-Young of The Fattened Calf. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
If you learned something new from today's episode, consider leaving us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the easiest way to help people discover our show. We appreciate it. Thank you. Podcast episodes of St. Louis on the Air are available at stlpublicradio.org, or you can subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, the Stitcher podcast app, or wherever you get your podcasts. St. Louis on the Air is produced by Evie Hemphill and Lara Hamden, with production assistance from Aaron Dorr. The senior producer is Emily Woodbury, and the executive producer is Alex Hoyer. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. That's 90.7 KWMU. Thank you for listening. I'm Sarah Fensky.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.